So Dunkey has came out and said that he will be making his own video game publishing company. The site is currently up if you want to put your game on there. I did want to take a look at the announcement video because there were some interesting points in it, and I just wanted to talk about that and the situation as a whole, really.
For years and years and years, I have always sought out the very best indie games out there and have tried to do them justice, putting millions of eyes on the games that actually deserve attention. Enter the Gungeon, Hollow Knight, Celeste, Cuphead, Undertale, Lisa, Neon White, Rocket League. My best of the year videos are constantly loaded up with indie game recommendations.
So indie games are a mixed bag for me. Obviously there are some like gems, even in that clip, like Undertale, stuff like that, just gems that come across once in a blue moon and are AAA level. But there's a lot of indie games that aren't that good. My experience has been mostly good stuff, because most times when you're hearing about an indie game, it's something that's like really good. When you're like me and I'm a casual, I just, stay on the outside for the most part and just listen in. But it is nice to see someone giving attention to a genre that really needs, or a subgenre that really needs attention. I really think that there are a lot of people in the indie industry or the indie area that really should get a lot more recognition than they do, and which is really unfortunate.
My channel is where they come to find out what's actually worth playing, and I want all the real deal gamers out there watching this video to know that I would never risk my legitimacy by trying to push some junk ass video games I don't believe in. My channel will still be at its heart goofy and lighthearted, but I've never been afraid to do serious videos when a serious game finally grabs my attention. Bigmode will be a harmonious continuation of my channel. Me and Leah aren't just the face of this company, we are the company.
So I would say that his status as a YouTuber does contribute on some level. I mean, that's just how it is. Even if you look at Red Letter Media, his review of Phantom Menace and the prequels as a whole really affected public opinion for a good amount of time. But it is weird to have a publishing company where you and your long-term partner are the main controlling people. Considering how hard it is to go into business with pretty much anybody, they always say, hey, you definitely should not go into business with your friends, because you might trust them and you might like them, but like that relationship could really fall apart over a dispute about money. Also, there will definitely be changes to his channel if he's devoting the level of effort that this publishing company is more than likely going to require out of him. It's definitely going to be an arduous adventure. That was some nice alliteration there. Arduous adventure. Wish I could plan that out.
I am not looking for creative control over your games, but I do want to be involved. I'm sick of sitting on the sidelines waiting for great games to appear. Now, I want to get in there and help make it happen. Hideo Kojima said that his body is made up of 70% movies. My body is much bigger, and it's made of 300% video games.
So your opinion is respected by a lot of people, Dunkey, including me. And I do listen to a lot of your criticisms with a lot more weight than I would listen to 99% of game journalists today. But that doesn't mean that you know how to make good game. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but just by saying, oh, well, I see this stuff and I'm trying to get involved and I don't like sitting on the sidelines. Well, how do you know that you'll be better? It's almost like when you're watching like the NFL and you see somebody throw an interception and you're like, man, I could have done better than that. But like you can think that, but until you really go out there, you don't really know. Now there is like obvious stuff like Cyberpunk 2077 should not have been released on last gen consoles, only on current gen, but the shareholders pushed for it and they got bit in the end. Say all that to say that this is a very complicated business, and I'm not saying that a lot of thought hasn't been put into this, but what I am saying is that it feels almost like he's just 100% confident in the fact that he'll be able to for sure pick all the right games to put out and to make successful, because that really is the main point of this business. You can say it's for good games, and that more than likely is a factor, but money is more than, like, I would say 90% is my certainty level on whether or not this is motivated by money. which isn't a bad thing.
I understand what kind of ideas always work, what ideas never work, what kind of ideas are fresh or need to come back, and what is extremely played out. For developers who want to go above and beyond and really deliver something special, I am the guy you want in your corner.
So here he's just trying to sell himself, be like, hey guys, I know what's up. And on some level, I agree with him. This goes back to what I said, like, how do you know for sure? Like there's obvious stuff, like build an immersive world. Elden Ring thrived off that. Build something that is, has a lot of replay value, has something that you can come back to after a while and be like, maybe you couldn't play it, right? And it was just too time consuming, or you didn't get it, but you come back to it and you just pick it up like that. Something that is going to really affect people. But to say, oh, well, when you add this certain amount of enemies, I'm not saying that this is what he's doing, but like, I don't know how you could say that I know for sure. It just doesn't feel the right way to me, at least.
For the people who really care out there in the gaming industry, I am doing the call to arms right now. Come to bigmode.com and reach out. For developers, go to publishing and apply. Let us know about your game. Whether you're at the pitch stage or near completion, we're interested.
So this is the final pitch. Just him being like, all right, guys, like, I've told you all the information. I've told you my vision. Come join us. If you want to join us, here's how. I'm not mad at it. I would probably do the same thing if I was a publishing company. It just feels like it feels fresh. Like I want to succeed so bad, but there's just little bits and pieces that just throw me off a little bit. But this would be such a good thing for the gaming industry, especially if it took off, gained a lot of traction, and then more and more people began to play indie games. Then these AAA developers that put out half-finished games, that put out games that are barely working, they realize, hey, we've got actual competition here. Now we have to innovate. Now we have to put out actually finished games. Imagine that. Now, do I think that Dunkey alone has the sway to do that? No. But if he can build up enough momentum, then I'm sure that he can at least be influential. Now, Twitter had some negative opinions on Bigmode games, which Twitter always has some negative opinions, and we're going to be taking a look at a couple of those. The problem I'm seeing is that Bigmode's reputation and image is entirely reliant on Dunkey. So if a game dev decides to push through Bigmode, they're tying their game image to videogamedunkey, who gets into Twitter drama every week. It just seems like a risk to associate. And they were responding to a tweet that said, "Lol, Dunkey starting a publishing company with the ethos I have played so many games. I know what makes them good and bad, so I will only publish good ones. About to learn stuff the hard way." So this could be a problem, but for the most part, Dunkey has a relatively good image. Most people say good things about him. So unless he has like some sort of crazy scandal between like now and whenever, or he has some past crazy scandal that comes out, I doubt that this will be too big of a factor. If you're really worried about buying a good game, the fact that you don't like one of the people working there isn't really gonna sway you. Like, people go to Chargers games all the time, and they hate that the ownership moved them out of San Diego, but they still go for the team. Right? And I think that it will be the same way. If a game, you hear about it good enough and it just grabs your interest enough, you're going to want to play it. You're not going to care, oh, well, Dunkey is going to get 1% of the sales, so he's getting a bit of my money. I doubt you're really going to care about that. I could be wrong, but that's just how I feel. I liked Dunkey's videos up to this point, but the Bigmode announcement was genuinely embarrassing. It's just a narcissistic rant about how he knows what objectively makes games good and bad, and then send me your game so I can tell you whether it's trash or not. What a prick. So does that make game journalism bad? I almost said James journalism. But is it bad because they say, hey, can you send us a review copy so we can review? I know it's different, but like, a publisher is still going to do this regardless whether it's some guy and his girlfriend, or whether it's EA or Ubisoft or whatever publisher is putting out the game. They're going to review it. and they're gonna say, oh, this is good or bad. And I didn't like how he said he knew what makes games good and bad, and he knows what works and what doesn't, because most times it's going to be catered to your personal taste. If you're saying, oh, okay, so I know what's good and what is not, and I understand it all, so you all have to listen to me, it's just gonna rub everybody the wrong way, if we're being honest with ourselves. The more I think about it, the dumber Bigmode is. The thing's gonna crash and burn in months. Literally just one guy going, hey, if you're planning on making the next Undertale, just tell me and I'll fund it, and then we'll have the next Undertale. Don't worry about the details. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. It does seem like the way he explained it is just a little off. Now, I do like the way that it's like being presented. I do think that it is a good idea, but the way that it sounds when you do think about it is, a little off. I wouldn't say that, like, when I say that it's a little off, I mean that it just feels like too much is left up to chance. And a lot of people are saying, make sure you get your money up front. And I would say, yeah, because I don't think that Dunkey's like the type to, screw people over and, not pay them. But still, like, this is a very risky endeavor. And as a game dev, I'm not. But if I were to be a game dev, I would think, hey, I definitely want to see like a couple of games succeed after being published by Bigmode before I go, all right, I'm going to put my game out there and associate it with the brand. And I would think that would be the best idea as of now, because if Bigmode comes out and their first 10 games all flop, clearly it's not, an endeavor that's going to work. And at some point it's going to shut down within like the next year or two and go away. Whether or not I think that it will last, I'm not 100% sure on. Genuinely, it really could go either way. It all depends on how people react to like how it's promoted and the idea in and of itself. If people like the idea, it'll thrive, it'll boom, business will boom, and Dunkey will look like a genius. If not, then Dunkey will be ridiculed probably for the rest of his internet life. So this is a big gamble, and it'll be interesting to see what goes on. So thank you all for watching. I really and truly appreciate it. Goodbye.